from Hollywood, I'm Martin Grove, welcoming you to our Screendollars podcast, Box Office Autopsy. Right now, we'll look at the movie marketplace and analyze how things are going and where they're going, sharing some opinions from my perspective after decades of talking about Hollywood on CNN, Entertainment Tonight, and as a Hollywood Reporter columnist. It was a nope good weekend at the box office as Universal and Blumhouse Productions' R-rated sci-fi horror thriller Nope opened in first place to less than exhibitors and Hollywood handicappers expected, but definitely enough to keep the summer box office recovery alive. With no other wide openings and with no strong holdovers, exhibs were very lucky to have Nope. After an early summer of sizzling tentpoles, the late summers become much less dynamic, and the early to mid-fall season looks downright depressing with its endless parade of horror films, as the studios hold back their tentpoles until mid-October. On today's box office autopsy, we'll check out Nope's numbers, and later we'll talk about whether Netflix's second quarter earnings are the good news the media says they are. And in our Oscar Outlook Spotlight, we'll tell you what having the Critics' Choice Awards on January 15th means for the Golden Globes. But first, here's some thoughts about Nope from writer, director, and co-producer Jordan Peele, whose past horror hits include Us in 2019 and Get Out in 2017.
I think you can expect to obviously not know what to expect, but you're going to get scared. So I hope you are ready for a good scary movie. But I really wanted to bring joy and adventure, and I wanted to bring a little bit more of like the big summer blockbuster magic that I've been missing for me. So it's my own brand of that.
With no competition from other wide openings, exhibs were projecting a $50 million opening for Nope, which reportedly cost $68 million to produce. Media analysts were way high with $60 to $65 million projections. Nonetheless, Nope's $44 million opening at 3,785 theaters was a good launch for an original horror movie, whose storyline was kept under wraps because Jordan Peele likes to do it that way. All that the media knew about Nope's plot is that it involved UFOs and aliens and a chilling discovery at a California ranch. The message that sent to moviegoers was that this is a sci-fi film. Men are the core audience for sci-fi, and they accounted for about 57% of Nope's opening weekend audience. But looking at Nope's first choice tracking, its top demo was adult women, and its second best demo was women under 25. Nope's tracking increased nicely late last week, but not in time to make a big difference at the box office. It could help going forward that critics on Rotten Tomatoes gave it a decent 83%, but with audiences just okay at 71%, word of mouth isn't going to be wildly enthusiastic. Peele shot Nope with IMAX film cameras, and ComScore reported the picture did $5 million too from just 403 IMAX screens. That's about 11.8% of its opening gross. Holdovers did little to pump up the box office. Disney and Marvel's Thor, Love and Thunder was second in weekend 3 at 4,370 theaters with just over 22 million, down 53%, and a domestic cume of $276.2 million. Sony and Hello Sunshine's Where the Crawdads Sing finished fourth in weekend 2 at 3,650 theaters with 10.3 million, off 40%, and a domestic cume of 38.3 million. Paramount and Nickelodeon's Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank was seventh in its second weekend at 3,481 theaters with 3,000,009, down 39%, and a domestic cume of $13.8 million. Next weekend will bring several wide openings, with Warner Bros. DC's PG animated action adventure DC League of Super Pets likely to kick Nope out of first place. It's from the creators of the Lego Movie and the Lego Batman movie. Here's a quick scene that tells us it's a fun film.
Okay, enough mayhem, thank you. We gotta go. My goodness. Look who's alive. Well, let's correct that little oversight, shall we?
Ace, deploy canine shield.
What is a canine? Ah!
Evade! Excellent shielding. That seemed incredibly painful.
Anybody want to switch powers?
DC League of Super Pets should send families back to the movies next weekend. Hollywood handicappers have been projecting a cautious $35 to $40 million, so leagues not quite in the big leagues like Universal and Illumination Entertainment's Minions: The Rise of Gru, which opened July 1st to $107 million for 3 days over July 4th weekend. If analysts are right, Super Pets will also be barking less than Disney and Pixar's Lightyear, which took off to $50.6 million June 17th. The tracking doesn't suggest that Super Pets will overperform, but these days that can change at the very last minute if previews generate great word of mouth. But 1 week out, all 4 demos for First Choice are below norm on Super Pets. Its average score is 2 points below norm. Under 25 men are the best demo, but they're 1 point below norm. Also hitting theaters next weekend is A24's R-rated action-adventure comedy Everything Everywhere All at Once, the distributor's all-time top-grossing movie, which is getting a wide re-release. Directed by Dan Kwan and Daniel Scheinert, Everything will feature a new intro from the directors, plus 8 minutes of outtakes. Everything, which world premiered at Austin's South by Southwest Festival last March, opened March 25th to $501,000 at just 10 theaters. An eye-opening $50,130 per theater. Driven by great word of mouth, by mid-April it was playing at 2,205 cinemas. It wound up doing $68 million domestic and $94 million worldwide as adult moviegoers discovered it in theaters. Everything, whose stars include Michelle Yeoh and Jamie Lee Curtis, was driven by great reviews, with 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, and by very favorable word of mouth from its 89% audience score on RT. There's talk already that A24 will give everything a serious push for awards consideration based on its critical acclaim and box office success. A24's gone down that path successfully in the past. In 2021, it scored 6 Oscar noms for its drama Minari, including Best Picture and Directing. Critics love Minari with 98% on RT, and audiences also applauded it with 87% on RT. Meanwhile, next weekend will also bring us Focus Features and Blumhouse Productions' R-rated comedy mystery thriller, Vengeance. This doesn't look like it's going to do much for the box office. It's below norm for all first-choice tracking demos, and its best group, women over 25, are 4 points below norm. Here's a quick look to help you decide if you want to see it or skip it.
Is this a pocket dial?
I have a story. Can it wait?
No, I'm in Texas. I'm on my way back from a funeral.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's not someone I was close to.
But you flew to Texas for it?
Yes. It was a girl I hooked up with a few times.
You flew to Texas to attend the funeral of a random hookup.
Her family thought that we were more serious than I did.
You know what?
This is a story.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's you. Your whole way of life. It's dating, it's hookup culture, how it enables disconnectedness, the selfishness, the
No.
emptiness, the hollowness.
That's not what I meant.
The lack of self-awareness.
Okay, that's not what I'm
It's
pitching.
very how sad your life is.
Okay, now you're fucking with me.
As always, we're looking ahead and hoping for surprise hits, and A24 might have one of those with its R-rated comedy horror thriller, Bodies, 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 opening August 5th. 3 weeks out, its best definite interest tracking is from under 25 women who are 8 points over norm. And this quick scene will explain why.
You don't have to be nervous. I'm not nervous. Wow, they're so impressive. You're impressive. They're gonna be obsessed with you. They're not as nihilistic as they look on the internet. You guys, this is me.
Oh, whoa.
Is this your first relationship? Oh no, you just kind of give that vibe. Oh, you know that has weed in it, right? Who wants to play Bodies, Bodies, Bodies?
So how do you play?
If you draw the piece of paper that has the X on it,
You are the murderer.
let's go. And if you're the murderer, you have to kill someone by touching them on the back.
The most important part, if you come across a body, you have to yell,
Body, body, body!
Wow. Is that the lights? David? Our friend is dead.
Someone's doing this. You're trying to kill us all one by one.
That would be so obvious if I were the killer.
Taking off my clothes in the window for the neighbor. Where are you? Go. How long have you known her? What are you talking about?
Jordan, what are you doing? I'm staying safe. Really? Because it looks like you're grabbing a meat cleaver to go look for my boyfriend.
Time now to fire up our Oscar Outlook high beams and focus on the latest awards front news. The Directors Guild of America made it official last week that its 75th annual DGA Awards will take place February 18th at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. Nominations for theatrical features will be revealed January 11th. Online voting for theatrical noms will run from December 5th through January 10th, and final voting will be online from January 11th through February 17th, so circle those dates on your calendar if you're a DGA member. Last year's DGA winner was Jane Campion for Netflix's The Power of the Dog. Campion went on to win directing Oscar, but Dog lost to Apple TV's Coda in Oscars Best Picture race. The DGA followed the Critics' Choice Awards in revealing its timetable for next year. So the 2023 award season is falling into place, with the notable exception of the Golden Globes. The 28th Annual Critics' Choice Awards are set for January 15th at LA's Fairmont Century Plaza Hotel and will be seen live on the CW network from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, so we know how next year's awards race will begin. Or do we? CCA pitched its tent in the sands of January's third Sunday, and the first Sunday's New Year's Day. So the question is, will NBC air the 80th Globes January 8th? That would make the HFPA's show the kickoff awards event it was before imploding from charges of poor membership diversity and alleged financial improprieties. After the Globes were boycotted by some 100 top PR agencies, plus studios and streamers, NBC scrapped its 2022 telecast, with some publicists reportedly now ready to embrace the still embattled Globes. NBC's in a tough spot. With soggy ratings for all awards shows lately, it's hard to justify premium ad pricing and what's said to be a $60 million annual Globes licensing fee. Despite no campaigning last year, the HFPA announced its own noms December 13th at the Beverly Hilton and named winners January 9th at a small Beverly Hilton party, where Best Picture Drama went to Netflix's The Power of the Dog, whose director Jane Campion also won. When the Oscars finally surfaced March 27th, Campion won for directing, but the surprise Best Picture winner was Coda, a big victory for Apple TV Plus and another Best Picture loss for Netflix. These days, by the way, Netflix has bigger problems than Best Picture races on its hands. Netflix's second quarter earnings report last week made it the center of media attention, much of which celebrated its lower than projected subscriber losses. What the media applauded was Netflix losing just 970,000 subs worldwide, rather than 2 million subs, as it had cautioned Wall Street to expect. That looked like good news to some, but a closer look suggests other conclusions are possible. While 930,000 subs were lost globally, erosion in the US and Canada was 1.3 million high-priced subs. Standard domestic market subs cost nearly $16 monthly, and they're reportedly the most popular tier. This serious loss was offset by subscriber gains, but not revenue, from adding 1 million lower-priced Asia-Pacific subs. 770,000 expensive subs were lost in Europe and West Asia. Standard monthly pricing is said to be about $7 in India, $3 in Turkey, and $4.50 in Pakistan, while it's about $15 in France and Belgium and a brisk $20 in Switzerland. Wall Street was less enthusiastic than the media. Benchmark company analyst Matthew Harrigan, for instance, downgraded Netflix shares from hold to sell, noting, quote, "Beyond the inflation-challenged and more price-sensitive consumer, the continued negative Netflix press glut relating to member losses and even Prince Harry and Meghan, who have an ultra-rich Netflix production deal, of course, is a mild growth albatross," unquote. Well, that wraps up today's podcast, but we'll return next week on Box Office Autopsy to talk about the openings of DC League of Super Pets and Vengeance, and to see what's going on in our Oscar Outlook Spotlight. Please join us again then, and thanks very much for listening. Time now for our film flashback look at what was happening in Hollywood right around now, way back then. Let's set today's time travel dial for July 21st, 2014. Guardians of the Galaxy's success was amazing because the movie wasn't based on first-tier Marvel Comics characters, and back in 2014, early August wasn't known for blockbuster openings. But Disney Marvel's Guardians, directed by James Gunn and starring Chris Pratt, Zoe Saldana, Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, and Bradley Cooper, was an instant hit. After premiering in LA July 21st, 2014, it opened August 1st to just over $94 million, and it did nearly $334 million domestic, making it that summer's biggest film, and the first August release to top the summer since Hollywood started compiling box office data in the mid-70s. Guardians grossed $440 million internationally for a global cum of nearly $774 million. Not surprisingly, it spawned a sequel, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, directed by Gunn, which opened May 5, 2017 to $146.5 million, and did about $864 million worldwide. Volume 3, also from Gunn, is set to open next May 5th. Like many movie hits, Guardians could have turned out very differently had other directing and casting decisions been made. Peyton Reed, who'd directed the 2006 rom-com The Breakup with Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston, was considered for Guardians, but Marvel signed him later to direct Ant-Man in 2015. He also made Ant-Man and the Wasp 2018 and Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, which opens next February 17th. Colin Trevorrow was another directing possibility, but passed because he really wasn't into comics. What he liked were Star Wars and Indiana Jones type movies. Trevorrow went on to direct Universal's Jurassic World 2015 and Jurassic World Dominion 2022, with Chris Pratt starring in both. Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey were considered to voice Rocket Raccoon, which Bradley Cooper did. Gal Gadot was a potential Nebula, which went to Karen Gillan, who shaved her head for the role. Gadot went on to star for Warner Bros. DC as Wonder Woman. Both Olivia Wilde and Amanda Seyfried passed on playing Gamora, which went to Zoe Saldana. Among the many actors who might have played Peter Quill, Star-Lord, which went to Chris Pratt, are Eddie Redmayne, Wes Bentley, James Marsden, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Zachary Levi, and John Krasinski. It said Chadwick Boseman auditioned for Drax the Destroyer, but Dave Bautista was cast. Boseman later starred for Marvel, of course, as Black Panther. Jason Momoa also reportedly auditioned for Drax, but decided against playing the role because he didn't want to be typecast as a tough action star. However, producer Kevin Feige and Gunn have maintained for years that Bautista was the only actor ever offered the Drax role. As for Momoa, he went on to play the half-human, half-Atlantean Aquaman in 5 films for Warner Bros. DC. that's it for today's podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll be back with another box office autopsy next week. In Hollywood for Screendollars, I'm Martin Grove.